So the next script that I want to talk about is the teleport script. It's just slightly more involved than the animation script. It's still very intuitive, but it utilizes tags inside Unity, and I'll talk a little bit more about that once we start implementing the script. Now, for the sake of this demo, I could use this same capsule as the trigger, but just for the sake of the demo, I'll start with a clean slate. And in this scenario, I actually need two objects, and I can name these objects whatever I want, but I'm going to get started with a capsule again, and I'll just move that capsule up, and I'll move it over. So this is going to be our trigger. This is the thing that we run into, and it's going to transfer us to a different location. And so I'm just going to set that. I'm not even going to bother renaming this capsule. You know, the name's pretty straightforward. There's only one capsule inside my scene. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'll create a cylinder, and the cylinder, this is going to be my destination. Okay, so I'm actually going to, when I run into this capsule, my marble is going to teleport over to this location. Okay, now I'll call this, instead of cylinder, this isn't required, but this will be called gate. This will be my teleport gate. Okay. Now, one thing about this is I actually don't need the collider. In fact, I don't want the collider. I'm going to turn the collider off. So I just have a shape reference, and oops, there we go, turned it off. The reason I don't want a collider on the capsule is because my marble is actually going to teleport over here, and if there's a collider on here, it might bump around and get ejected or interact with that in some way that is unintended. So I have two objects, my capsule object, which is set to a trigger, my destination object, it can be anything that we want. I just have a cylinder as a visual cue, and I've named that gate. And what I'll do is I'll find my teleport trigger. I'm going to drag and drop that onto my capsule object, or this is my trigger, right? So I got to run into my capsule in order to trigger this script. The destination is whatever object we want to use, and really what it's using is just its location. So if I select this cylinder and I look, this cylinder has a position of, I'll just round these numbers up, 24 along the X. We'll send it up in the air a little bit. 10 along the Y, and I'll call this 1 along the Z. Maybe 10's too high, maybe I'll come down to 5. Okay, so it's actually just borrowing the position here, which happens to be the same position that's being occupied by this cylinder. Okay, so I'll select my capsule here. That brings me back to this script. I'm going to search through my hierarchy, and I'm looking for my gate object. Okay, it's my teleport gate. It's the destination. And I'll drag and drop that gate. Now when I hit play, the script actually isn't going to work. So if I run into my trigger, nothing happens, and I've, spent all that time, all that hard work setting up this scenario, and it doesn't work. Well, let's take a look at the script. I'll double click. The script is extremely simple, and basically what it's doing is that we define that destination. This is equal to our cube object. We could have hardwired the coordinates directly into the script, but that would not be so versatile. Now, the function of this is once we run into something, so on trigger enter, so and we've attached this now, remember, to our capsule. So when we run into the capsule, it's looking for a collision. There's a little test in here to see what kind of object collided with our trigger, and in this case, it's looking for something with a tag of player. And if that's the case, it transforms this thing that bumped into it to the destination position. That's all this script is doing. It's very simple. Now the key is that this script will only be triggered when an object that has a tag of player. So it's testing to see if it's the player. And the idea is that there's a bad guy, and a bad guy crosses this teleport gate. Maybe we want him to teleport as well, and we can test for that. But the only thing that we want to teleport is the actual thing called player. And the idea here is that if I, strap a cannon to my marble and I'm shooting projectiles and I happen to shoot and it comes into contact with this trigger, it doesn't teleport my projectiles or any other object that's unintended. Maybe I have some coins that are floating around here that fall from the sky, and if they happen to fall on this this teleport object, they'll get transferred as well. So it's really just checking to see that only things with the player tag get transported. And the way that you tag objects is with the object selected. So in this case, I have my marble object, and I want to tag that. You can see up here there's a tag pull-down menu. So I'm looking at the inspector. Inside my object, there's a tag field, and if I click, there's a bunch of default tags that come as a default in Unity, and there's a predefined tag called player. If we want to create more tags that we test for, we can just add additional tags, but what I want to do is I want to tag this with player. So I've told my marble, it's named marble, but it has a tag that's attached to it, an identifier called player. So now when I hit the play button, that script is looking for something called player, and it found it, and so it transferred it to the target destination. So you got to make sure setting up the script is one thing, but it's easy to overlook. Make sure that you have your object tagged as player. Now, if I didn't want that tag check in place, I could modify this script very, very easily. So I'll just open up the teleport script. Basically, this if other tag equals player, that's the thing that's checking to say, wait, hey, does this thing have a tag called player on it? If it does, then do this function. So if I got rid of this line and I got rid of that companion bracket, anything that touched my capsule in this case would transform to that other position. Okay, so that's the teleport script. Experiment with that. Have fun with it, and we'll push forward with the additional scripts in the next presentation.